Yes. So, Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Veda Diksha course, day 2. Today we are going to talk about the Vedangas. I've shared the notes in the group, so you can also simultaneously refer to that. So, the first topic for today is basically there are two topics only, main topics. The first is the introduction to the Vedangas, and second is the Vedangas themselves. Okay. So, you can simultaneously refer to the notes because it may be difficult to follow. And like throughout the lecture also, uh, actually this is a very difficult course to attend and even to take it because as you will see gradually, all the different branches of Vedic literature which are there, they all have to be covered. Okay, and you can say a lecture is from 2 to 2.5 hours. So 2 hours into 7, 14 hours. Okay, like 18 or 20 hours. It becomes very difficult. So to take the lecture and for you to understand the lecture, that is what the recordings are provided. So if you are not able to understand, to catch up, to follow with the lecture, that is okay. Not all the terms, because many terms you must be getting for the first time. But then gradually you will understand. There are some other lectures also, which is where I will send you the links. Because as I said, the history, so Atma Tattva Guru first took this lecture and then Maharaj took this lecture. So Maharaj's lecture you can listen. In 3 classes he has taken. And even Atma Tattva Guru's lecture also you can listen. And even the notes I will share. So maybe later, okay, if up to you, you can also simultaneously listen to it. But so that you don't get confused because Maharaj took in 3 classes he covered it. And Atma Tattva Guru had taken 7 classes. And so there the flow is a little different. Okay. So maybe later you can refer to, and the notes also you can refer. So Veda Angas. It is a compound word. Veda means the Vedas and Angas means the limbs. So in the notes, as you can say, Vedangas are supplementary to Vedas. Veda Purusha has 3 Angas or limbs which are naturally to assist the milk personified Veda as its parts. So, this verse is from the Mundaka Upanishad. Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakaran, Nirukta, Chhando, Jyotisham iti. So these are the names of the 6 Vedangas which we are studying. Shiksha, Vyakaran, Nirukti, Chandas, Jyotish and Kalpa. And in the Mundaka Upanishad it is mentioned. The second para, you can see the English corresponding translation. Shiksha means phonetics. Kalpa means the ritual canon. Vyakaran means the grammar, Sanskrit grammar. Nirukta means the explanation of the words derivation from roots. That is the meaning, determination of the meaning of a word in a given context. Chanda means the Vedic meter, prosody, and Jyotish means astronomy. So, okay, after we are going to look into the details of each of them. Shiksha and Chandas are aids for pronunciation because Shiksha means phonetics. The nursery, junior KG, what we study, that is what is the Shiksha. Chandas is the meter of study. Okay, like the different meters which we have to study. 1 to 3 to, and many meters are there. And Vyakaran and Nirukta is for understanding the meaning of a word. Vyakaran is the grammar, the English grammar which we have. Nirukta is the determination of the context, the actual meaning of a word. And Jyotish and Kalpa is it tells us the appropriate time. And Jyotish is not only astrology. Astrology is just but a part of it. It has Ganita, like that is astronomy, mathematics. All these are part of Jyotish. The Vedangas played an important role in maintaining the purity and integrity of Vedic tradition. They teach Vedic students how to recite Vedic hymns. And so you can read those points. Essentially, the point is that before studying the Vedas, it was necessary to study the Vedangas. Okay, because the Vedic, the language used is Sanskrit. So if you can't, and if you don't know the grammar of the Sanskrit language, then how can you read the text itself? So, and the first thing, like even in the modern education, the first thing which we have is the A, B, C, D. So the phonetics is the first thing which we have. And then we have morphology, that is the rules for formation of words. So Siksha is the first thing, that is the pronunciation, and then how you form the words, and then how do you recite the mantras. Because as I had said, that in the Vedic times, it was in the oral tradition, the knowledge was passed. So they had devised many various techniques on as to how to pass the knowledge. Okay? Because see what happens is, suppose so there are rules for on which the Sanskrit verses are formed. In the Kavya class, that is on next Sunday, we'll look onto the rules which are used. So there are some rules. Only certain letters can come at certain places, and only certain letters can come at the other places. Okay, Vaman, Laghu, you know. So, and they are to be recited in a certain order. So what would happen? Why this was necessary is, one is, of course, it looks it is very nice to hear, and second is, even if any person commits a mistake, then it is very immediately it is spotted. Okay, like for example, if you take a verb, Janma Karma Chame Devyam, Emam Yovati Tatvata, Tattva Deham Purajama, Naitimam Arjuna. Okay, so now this is recited in a particular way. Suppose we 4 to 5 people are reciting, and someone he little bit changes the tone, so we can immediately catch where the mistake is. So that is the reason why, and like this is one of the reasons, it is not the primary reason, that why the rules were set. And it has to be very specific. If any mistake is there, then the meaning itself changes, because the Shabda has a lot of potency in it. Okay, as we say, Shabda Brahman. And so, are you all familiar with the 4 levels of sound? Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, Vaikari. Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, and Vaikari. Have you heard these terms before? Like in the chat box, you can maybe respond.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So you're fine. Okay. So we'll see if today we get time, or maybe in the Kagya Shastra. So someone can just write down to remind me. If today we get time, then we'll cover it today. Otherwise, in the Kagya, we'll cover the Parapashyandi Madhyam, the 4 levels of sound. Okay. So just remind me, because I will otherwise forget. So the sound has a lot of potency. Okay, in it. And in the Kavya Shastra, we'll discuss in detail, but the sound, you can say, it is a subtle representation of an object. Suppose if I say a word, lion, immediately the image of lion comes in mind. Yes, though a lion is not present, but you immediately visualize a lion in your mind. And so that is how the sound is, in the Bhagavatam also, third canto, the Sankhya part, the definition of sound is, it is a subtle representation of an object. So it has a lot of potency into it. And sound is the basis of creation. If you know that sequence, from sound, ether came, from ether came the touch, from touch came the air, from air it was the form, then fire, then I think so then it was taste, then water, then smell, and then earth. So sound forms the basis of the creation. Even in the modern context, if you know the string theory, in quantum mechanics, there's a string theory which is there. And like atoms also have particles, subparticles. I think so they are called as subatomic particles, quarks and those things. Subatomic particles or subparticles, something like that. So the thing is that what they present is the different atoms and the different quarks, they have different frequency at which they function. And that is the reason for the variety in this world. So, and with this also, the sound, like even they have a rudimentary understanding only, but from this I should understand that how sound forms the basis of the creation, because the atoms, they are function in different frequency, and that results into the variety of atoms, which then make into molecules. Then we have the compounds, and that is how we get different structures in this world. So even in the modern understanding, is the sound is the basis of the creation. So sound has a lot of potency into it. And In the olden times, there was a lot of respect for sound. Okay, it was not treated as very cheap. We nowadays very cheaply treat sound. We so much of nonsensical talks, so much of if you go to a village side and if you are in a city, so much of nonsensical sound you hear unnecessarily, and which is in a way because sound is a potency, Shabda Brahman. It is the Vedas and the sound itself. Everything, of course, all the Panchabhutas, Tanmatras, everything is the potency of the Lord. And there is a respect, there's a natural functioning for which it is to be used. And that's why olden people, in olden times, the shrap, the curse would have value because the sound, they were so potent at that time that whatever they used to utter, that would happen. And the Para Pashanti Madhima Vaikari, Para in the Pashanti level, the Rishi Muni, the realized souls, Sapta Rishis and all the Rishis which are there, they were not on the like what we now what I'm uttering, what you utter in common we have it is the Vaikari form. Okay, the manifested form of sound. But those people they were situated on the Pashanti stage of sound. Seer, Pashanti. That is why, as I said yesterday, in their meditation, when they would meditate, the Vedic mantras would be revealed to them. So they could see. Pashanti means to see. So they could actually see the truth. It is a little difficult, but in the vector, in the gross form, the sound and the object, there's a difference. Okay, if I have a book, so if I say book, it is the subtle representation of the book. That is one thing, but it is not. The book is a different thing, and the word book is a different thing, and the book object is a different thing. Okay, but on the essential level, it is all same, and the sages are on that level. Though it's very difficult. It is difficult to comprehend that, but and that is why what they would say would happen. Okay, like that was the power of the benediction of their curse. And we have to go to the object. Suppose if I want to buy vegetables, so I have to go to the market and purchase a vegetable. Or if I have to reach to my cell phone, then I have to go reach out to the cell phone. So, but in the Pashanti stage, the Rishi Muni, so when they would utter the sound, if they wanted a banana, they would utter the sound and the banana would come because they were on that level. And the word and the sense, the object, there was no difference. Okay. So if you are able to make out something of this, then fine. Otherwise, we will cover it. So there was a lot of, and there would not be any nonsensical speech back then at that time. Very cultured speech was there. Okay. Even in Bhagavatam, you can say how people would address. For Arjuna, so many words are there. Panteya, Kuntiputra, Pandava, then this Krishna is also one word. Arjun is there, Dhananjay is there, Durakesh is there. So that was the richness of the bhasha at that time. And that is how they would utter. Even husband and wife, so they would utter, you must have read in the Bhagavatam. Priya, hey Priya. That is how they would, in Bhagavatam you find that they address themselves. So much so that, if you know Sanskrit, there are vibhaktis are there. The Saptami vibhakti is the, I don't remember the word, addresses the, like we have a nominative, accusative, dative, ablative, and instrumental. I think so for the addresses or something like that. Saptami vibhakti is there. So there is a particular vibhakti to denote, to call out to someone. And a lot of respect was there for sound. There was no unnecessary talk at that time. Like there used to be, it is not that only formal talks were there. There would be informal talks. But, the way we use language, the way we misuse the sound, that was not the thing at that time. The sound had a lot of value. And there was no requirement for language, like the script. Only in the sound, in the verbal communication, only the language used to be communicated, the knowledge used to be communicated. And so, for any student to first understand the Vedas, the first thing was to study the Vedangas. Because if you don't know the Sanskrit language, then how will you study the Vedangas? So that is the importance of Sanskrit and of the Vedangas. And the you can see the 1, 2, 3, the last point of the first page. So the Vedangas were not separated, segregated, like we have now the segregation. As I said, the Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, the divisions are that if you read the original text, you won't be able to decipher from where begins the next section and all that. So even the Vedangas, they were interspersed in the Vedas proper. Okay, in the Brahmana portion, we have mostly in the Brahmana portion it is there. Because the Brahmana and the Aranyaka, as I explained, they explain the Samhita portion, that is the intra portion. So they were interspersed in that. So simultaneously they would learn. Okay, like right now, if I right, just for example, how now we teach. Okay, and even in the Gurukul, if you go to some traditional Gurukul in South India, or anyway, so they first teach Vedanga. So like they use the word Vedanga, Siksha, and Vyakaran, the Nirukti, even the Vedas. But in the olden times, it was well intermixed. You know, people they were so smart they would be able to understand the meaning. They would understand the meaning. Okay, they could decipher that. Now we have the Ved Purusha. Okay, and Veda Purusha in the sense it means that the six Vedangas, there is a Veda Purusha which is being conceived of. In the second page, the first point you can find it. So the chandas are the meter, they are the foot. Okay, Veda Purusha, we can write this down. Chandas are the feet. The Kalpa is the hands. Jyotish is the eyes. Nirukta is the ears. Siksha is the nose. And Vyakaran is the mouth. Okay, so the derivation is very interesting. So Chandas are the feet. You may think why Chandas are the feet? Because the mudras, they form the basis of the Vedic knowledge. And the way to utter them, because most of the times you utter they would recite the mantras. Okay. And the mantras, when you're reciting by default, it used to be in some or one of the other meter. So this is the foundation. So the seed there is in the foundation, and that is why chandas are the foundation. Kalpa is the hands, which is, I think, so easy to understand because, as I said, Kalpa means it specifies what the Vedic rituals to perform, what to perform, who is to perform what rituals. We'll see in detail. So that is why with the hands we can perform our activities. The hands are required. So that is why it is the hands. Jyotish is the eyes. Okay, because Jyotish, the word means the luminary objects. The actual meaning of the Jyotish is the luminary objects. And to see them, we need our eyes. And Jyotish is what it is how we see the world. This world is based on karma. Okay, and if we have to understand the how the world functions, how the karmic cycle is there, then Jyotish and what to do, when to do, the proper timing also, how to find the muhurt, that is also based on Jyotish. So that is why it is the eyes. Nirukta is the ears. Because we hear the word, as I said, we used to hear the word in the olden times, and the correct meaning is also heard. When I say the word Atma, so Atma has many meanings. Atma means self. Self means composed of self. Okay. Atma means the soul. It means the body. It means the mind. And there are many meanings are there. So in one context, what it exactly means, for that we have to learn Nirukta and the context has to be seen. So this thing is being heard, and that is why it represents the ears. The Vyakaran is the mouth because we utter the words, and how to properly utter the words, how to utter the proper words, we learn from Vyakaran, and that is why it is mouth. And Shiksha is the nose. So it is very interesting because I was like, Shiksha means pronunciation. So it may be wonder that it should signify the mouth, okay? Because we utter from our words and we are learning pronunciation. So pronunciation is concerned with the mouth, okay? With how to pronounce the words. So how it is related to the nose. But it's very interesting. There's a science behind it, okay? Actually, and this is why the Vedic knowledge it has to be heard from Guru. The modern scholars they only speculate. But if you go and you read it on your own, you can't have all these nuances. Okay, it is when you hear from Guru, then you can understand the meaning. Otherwise, you will get confused. Like, and that is what you can understand Nirukta in a similar way. So you just read the word, but you can't understand what it means. For example, as I said, so when Britishers came in India, they, although they would, even they still they belittle our culture, but they knew the superiority. You must understand that in the 1947, when Britishers left our country, so they were very well advanced. India was economically a very downtrodden country. Still, they had Western interest in us. So economically, militarily, in every spectrum, they were ahead of us. What is the reason why they still had interest? Okay, because if you suppose, if, like any country, if it's a very economically developed country, why is it bother with some very downtrodden country? We say that we want to occupy, but we are not even geographically related to British. Okay, you can't capture. We are not neighbors. The reason is the cultural superiority. Because they did. But although economically, from the material perspective, we are well advanced of them, they are culturally much, 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 much superior to us. And the way we understand this, only it's about time they will overpower us and they will rule out on us. So, they know the meanings of Vedic scripture, of the Vedic culture, they know more than us, we ourselves. We never criticize. They outwardly criticize, but they internally they know the importance, the truth which is there. And that is why they have the Western interest politically and across all the spectrums. And we don't understand. We don't understand our value. So coming back, it's very important to understand to really to understand this thing from the Guru Shishya Parampara. The Vedic sound, the mantras which were uttered, so as I said, there were particular meters in which they were recited, understood, understood, shouted. There were many mantras, many meters are there. Also, there was an intonation in which they were chanted. We will see it in the section. So, different intonations they have in Swanta, Udita, and Anugata. So, that was related with the breathing. Okay, because even if you learn music, so in the music, it is very much related to the breathing. Okay, if you elongate a word, sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa, so then it is concerned with the training. I think you may be familiar with this. So they train the reduction of the exhibition. So it is related to the breath and the breath through your nose. And that is why Shiksha is related to the nose, because how you pronounce, how emphasis is given, that is related to the swaras. Swara means breathing. That is familiar. So this was the introduction. Now we will look into each of the Shiksha. Let me see if anything is remaining. Yeah, okay. So the first Vedanga is the Shiksha. Shiksha means in the traditional meaning is learning, which is actually which here also means the same thing. Okay, Shiksha means education, and particularly here it is used in a technical way, and it means it is known as the science of speech sound. So you can simultaneously follow the notes, and the notes everything is given. So it intends to train the students in the art and science of articulation of the syllables, so that they can learn the chanting of the Vedic hymns properly, and they can get the desired success. Because the Vedic mantra, predominantly they will be chanted in the Yamna. And Yamna, as I said yesterday, it was for a reason why the Yamnas were performed. And they have to be very perfect, because anything you can even stop the sun rising from the eastern direction tomorrow. So much potent is there with that Yamna. But everything comes with a price. So you could achieve anything, but the thing was it has to be perfect, immaculate. There has to be no mistake. Okay, and that is why the Shiksha, the work of the Shiksha was the first thing was to correct pronunciation of the words. We will always see the story of Krishna, in just after some time we will see that. So The aim was to teach them how to the articulation of the sound. And because the sound has a lot of potency, as we discussed, it represents the Akshara Brahman. So, Kshara means that which is destructible, and Akshara means that which is indestructible. So, Akshara Brahman means it cannot be destroyed, it is eternal. That is the Shabda Brahman. So, that is the importance of the Shabda, of the Brahm, of the Vedic knowledge. And because of such importance, it had to be, there was a full proper science which was first taught, and in that which people were trained so that they could properly recite the mantras, because there was immense power into that. And as I said, there were different shakhas were there in the Vedic scriptures. And the Vedas were segregated by Vyasa, and then subsequently his disciples of the disciples, they have many various shakhas. And for each shakha, there was a way of pronouncing them. Like mainly the pronunciation is same, but still each of them they have their own peculiarity. And that peculiarity was captured in the Prati Shaka, which was attached to it. So in the Brahman, in the line, suppose in the tradition, so I would learn it from my ancestor, from my guru, that particular Shaka. And the proper way, the Prati Shaka, the correct way of pronouncing, that was also attached to it. And, according to that only, the person would have to be recite the mantras. So that is known as the Pratishakas. So next we have in the Taittiriya Upanishad of all the Upanishads, the Taittiriya Upanishad is the most important Upanishad. And it has got 3 sections, which are known as Valli, Shiksha Valli, and the last one is the Brigu Valli, wherein we have the Panchakosh, which is there. So the Shiksha Valli, this is explained about this first verse, which is there, 1.1.2. That is there in the notes. Om Siksham Vakyasyamaha Varna Swaraha Matra Balam Sama Santanaha Utiyukta Shiksha Ajyaha. Taittiriya Upanishad 1.2 Krishna Yajurveda. Essentially, what this mantra is trying to communicate is that Shiksha, it has got 6 subcomponents into it, okay, which are been mentioned and which is there. So the first one is the Varna Mala. The Varna Mala on the next page only you can see. So we will come to that later on. So Varna Mala means the letters A, E, U, U, and all those consonants and vowels which is there. So Varna Mala is that. Okay. I think so. You must be doing this word Varna Mala. Even in the schooling, this word is very much used. The next component is the Swara. So, and that has 3 things: Udat, Unibat, and Swarta. So the mantras, they had a intonation also attached to it. Om Sahasra Shirsha Purusha, Sahasrashat, Sahasratat, Sabhomin, Vishwato. This is the first sutta of the Purusha Sutta. And there used to be, in the this the swara which is there, it used to be uttered in that. So Udat means a higher tone. So it would be double stress would be given. For example, if the first line, Om Siksham Vakyasyamaha, so that higher pitch is known as Udat. Amiraj is the lower pitch, the Varna Swara. So you don't have the, you don't extend the word. And Swarta means in the same, in the same pattern it is followed. So there is no in higher pitch, there is no in low pitch. In the same pitch, it is the recited. So in the Vedic mantra, all the mantras they used to be translated, they would be uttered into Udat as Swarit. Okay. For example, I'm not expert into this, but for the Purusha Sutta, the second line it is It is in this list. Om Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahasra Sahasrapad Sadhurun Vishwato Vrutya Atyatishtada Shangulam. So Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahasrapad. So here it is a lower pitch. So that is known as the Anudat. Sadhurun Vishwato Vrutya Atyatishta Vrutya. So that is the higher pitch. And the lower pitch is the Pashangu. So that is in the normal intonation. Okay. Of course, you can on the ISKCON Upanishad consider the most important Upanishad. It is not the topmost Upanishad, but because uh, in the Taittiriya Upanishad, the Shiksha Valli, which is the first, which we are currently discussing, it is the first, the Shiksha Vedanga, which is the first Vedanga is discussed. And as I said, Vedanga is the first thing which we have to study even before the Vedas. And of the Vedanga, the first thing is the Shiksha. So Shiksha Valli talks about the Taittiriya Upanishad, it talks about the Shiksha. So it is the first thing which one has to study. So that is why it is very important. And the Brahma which is there, the Panchakosha which is there, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, and Manamaya, the five koshas which are there, that is also discussed. Okay, if you know the story of Varuna, so Brahma is going to his father, and he's asking what is supreme, and that it is there. So it talks about it goes from the body level to the Anandamaya, to Anandakosh. So it's actually discussing about the highest reality. It is discussing about soul, your soul things are. So many esoteric things are there. Okay. So the first thing which we study, the Siksha, and the highest thing, that is like in an indirect way, because the Upanishads they talk in an indirect way. That is how they talk about talk. So that is being discussed in the Taittiriya Upanishad. So that is why it is the most important Upanishad. Okay. Fine.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So that is how the three types of swaras are there. The next one is the matra. Okay. So matra means it is the if there is like Puro Vamana Paras Trivikrama. These are two sutras from the Harinamamrit Vyakaran of Sri Jiva Goswami. So in, u. So you see, there's a short vowel and there is a long vowel. So the short vowel is known as the lagu. Lagu means small, as we have Lagu Bhagavatamrita and Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So Lagu Bhagavatamrita means the small, and Brihad means the Hare Krishna. So, and Brihad means the big thing, as Srila Bhakti Swami Saraswati Thakur used to say, Brihad Vedanga. So, this is the third component is the matra, lagu and guru. So, matra is not that matra which we use, badi matra, that is not the meaning. Matra means it is the lagu short vowel of a long vowel. And in Harinamam it is known as Vaman and Trivikrama. Next component is the balam. So, those who are familiar with the Sanskrit grammar, they may be able to actually truly appreciate it. But in the Sanskrit, we have some letters as Alpapran and some we have as Mahapran. Okay, and that is what refers to Balam. So you will, like for example, Ka, Kha. So these are and the so these are Mahapran and Ka, Kha are Alpapran. So not much breath is required to utter Ka, Kha, the. Then God, you require more breathe. So that is how the differentiation is there. And it also be balam, the stress. Because in the Vedic times, all the mantras they will be translated, they will be chanted with the three this swaras. Okay, now no longer it is one. But previously that intonation, that even the signification was there. And here comes the story of Rashta. So, if you already, I think so, you know the background. So when in the Yagna, when he was, the word was the Indra Shatro. So Indra Shatro, it is a compound word, samas, and it is a Tatpurush samas of the sixth case, because he had to, what he meant was in the Indra Shatro. He was invoking personality who could kill Indra. So the stress was to be given, a short stress had to be given in the Shatra. But he gave a long stress in the Shatra, so the meaning changed. Because the samas in the Sanskrit, the samas are also dependent on how you utter, because the balam and the rest of the balam becomes very important. Okay, if you are able to follow, that is fine, but the rest you can, you can just understand this. That what happens now at the Sanskrit which we study, the classical Sanskrit, in the Sanskrit there are many rules, and on the rule basis there are different types of samas, compound words. But in the olden times, in the Vedic Sanskrit, it is not only on the basis of rules, the different words are there, but it is also on the on the high pitch, low pitch. On that also, though the word is same, though the infrastructure is there, but the meaning will change depending on the high pitch and the low pitch. So that was the, the sensitivity and the uniqueness, the profoundness of the Vedic Sanskrit. So, but he, on that at that time, he gave a higher stress in the meaning change, and it became as the enemy of Indra, and consequently, there was a total 180-degree change in the into the result which was expected. Okay, and that is the importance of Siksha. Next component which we have is the Sama. So Sama, it means the musical elements which are there, Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Dha, Ni, Sa. And it is the balancing. How, like in the chanting. So this is all related to the chanting. These are all technical aspects. If you are not able to understand, that is okay. But if you study the proper pronunciation, then you will actually understand it properly. Mostly, if you just understand that Siksha is there and there are 6 components to it, that is sufficient. And the words and the terminologies. And next is the Santana. See, Santana is the, again, it is related to Samityaksharas. So it is combinations of words. For example, we have the word Pram. Okay, so if you know the word Pram, so there is the right ka, and there is a slant line, at below the curve which we attach. So this is a combination of 2 consonants, ka and pra. Okay, a sha which we have, sha, K-S-A, akshara. In that is also a combination of ka and sha. So these are combinations of 2 elements of the 2 varnas, and that is known as the Santana. So that is with the Siksha. Next, on the 3rd page, we have, this is the first sutra from the Harinama with Vyakaran. Okay. What Harinama with Vyakaran is, we'll study in the next component, that is the Vyakaran. This is the first sutra, Narayana Uddhayato Varanakramaha. You can memorize this, it is a very easy thing, and you can even understand the meaning. Narayana Uddhato Ayam Varana Kramaha. Narayana. This is the Panchama Vibhakti. That is from Narayana. From Narayana, from Lord Narayan. Uddhato Ayam. Ayam means this. Uddhato means originated. Varana Kramaha. So the Varana Mala. And the Varana Mala, which you can see on the left box, on the first row, the left has all the vowels, and the right one has all the our consonants. Okay, and and which is there. Now these you can later on check. I'm just going through this. In the Shiksha, how the different consonants, the origin is also discussed. Okay. So, and based on that, this arrangement is a very logical arrangement, and that is also given. So, gutturals, you can simultaneously refer to the roots. So, guttural means first you understand the words. Guttural means the okay, in that the name also are attached. So, the last one, the origination is from the throat. Palatal is from the palate. that is the floor of the mouth. Okay, this palatal. Labial is the lips. Cerebral is the top portion of our mouth. And dental is we have to use the dental, and it is very easy. If you chant or if you utter the element, you can understand. For example, if you say and you can simultaneously try this. So you can put your fingers on your throat and you can chant k, k. So you can feel the stress over here. Okay, so you have to use your tongue to utter these aksharas. Next we have is the palatal. So cha, jana. So you have to put your tongue below the teeth, okay, on the palate. Cha, ja. So that is the palatals. The next one is the labials. Labials is you have to use your lips. So you have to use your lips. Without using your lips, you cannot pronounce. And cerebrals are you have to use the cerebral portion. So you have to roll your tongue and then you have to utter. Cerebral, okay, because it sends a vibration in your mouth. And then is you have to use your teeth. So you have to use your teeth. So that is the distribution. And so these are in this two body parts have to be used. AI. So AI, you have to use your contour. You can see this. AI. So you have to use your contour. And at the same time, you have to use your palate. AI. So you have to, your tongue has to touch the palatal portion of your. So likewise, you can see it. So this is the logic behind how this puncture, this five elements which are there. So it is very logically arranged. Okay, and in the Vedangas Vyakran also you can have. Now the Alpa brand, so in the vowel section, just a second, let me see. In the vowel section, the first two elements, these are the Alpa brand. Not much, you don't need much breathe to translate them, to utter that. Because more this breathe is required. So that is the distribution. That is how we say. And they are also known as this our Kathur Vachan. And the God is known as Mridu Vachan. Because so even you can when you hear it is harsh. So it is harsh. In the soft, Mridu version. And Harinama Vyakaran, the terminology which is used is, so in the Panini grammar, the terminology is used as Mridu Vachan and Mridu Vachanas and this our Kathar Vachanas. In the Harinama Vyakaran, what Jiva Goswami has done that he has used all devotional, all spiritual names for different terminologies. So he says that Yadavas and Gopalas. Okay, and for the vowels also he uses the word Sarveshwaras, and for the consonants he uses the word Vishnu Janas. Okay, the reason is that for uttering the consonants you need vowel. You can't utter ka. In ka also there is is there, ka. So is there, ki. So you have to use vowels. Without vowels you cannot utter any consonant. So vowels are independent, okay, and consonants are dependent on them. And so that is why we have the Sarveshwaras, that is the Lord, form of the Lord, and the Vishnu Jana, that is the devotee. So the devotees are dependent on the avatar of the Lord. So in a very devotional way, Srila Jiva Goswami, he has given the words for that. We are not covering it over here because that is not the subject scope. But if you find some relevant material, some material is there on the internet. So there on you can see all these things. So with this we are done with the Siksha part. Next we go on to the Vyakran. So Vyakran means the grammar, and it refers to the analysis and the decomposition of the words. And so here now the a brief, very, very brief outlook of the entire Sanskrit grammar. Okay. So you can simultaneously refer to the notes which are there. In the Sanskrit grammar, basically the concepts which are there, you can divide it into three parts. Varna, Pada, and Vakya. Varna means the most corresponding word is the alphabets. Okay. A, B, C, D, like A, E, E. Pada means the words, and Vakya means the sentences. So all the concepts you can divide it into these three broad categories. In the Varna, we have the Varna, the Bhaga, Gumitakshara, Samyuktakshara, Vaishvani, Sutra, and Sandhi. So Varna Bhaga, it means the Varna Krama, which we just saw, and all of that. Gunitaksharas are, the vowels, using different vowels with the consonants. Okay, so in the preliminary primary education, you must have studied. So this is known as Gunitaksharans because we are using different vowels with each of the consonants. So that is known as Gunitaksharas. Samyuktaksharas are, as we discussed, the combinations of two words. Okay, so we have the word sh, we have the word kra. So they are combinations of two elements. So that is known as Samyuktaksharas. Brahma Sutra we will see, at the end we will see. And Sandhi. Now, Sandhi is a very interesting thing. Okay. That is the profoundness of the Sanskrit grammar. That so you have the pronunciation of the words. E. So all the words, all the letters, they have to be uttered in a particular way. But in the speech, in the normal, when you actually use the words, the pronunciation changes. Okay, naturally it changes. And this change has been captured by the Rishi Munis and they have put it into the Sandhi. But when two letters, when they are simultaneously pronounced, then there is a change which they undergo. And that is very captured into the Sandhi. So you can see how much the profoundness of the Sanskrit language which is there. So this Sandhi, it is only related to the elements which are there. Okay, it is not related to the words. Okay. For example, we have, let's say, you can have the word Ramabhava. No, okay. So we can Ati-Uttam. We can use the word Ati-Uttam. So Ati-Uttam. So suppose if you can try how the Sandhi rules are formed. If you keep on reciting Ati-Uttam, 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 Ati-Uttam. So Ati-Uttam, the pronunciation changes. And that is very captured into this in Sanskrit in the Sandhi rules. So there are Sandhi rules for the vowels, for the consonants, or for the Vishnu Sarva. Okay, so that is with the Sandhi part. And next we have is the Pada. Words in Sanskrit. The words in Sanskrit also has three components to it. The words, the root word, the prefix, and the suffix. Okay, the prefix are known as by the word upasargas. So there are 22 upasargas. The root word which are there, so in the Sanskrit there are two types of words, Sanavantas and Pinalikas, the noun forms and the verb forms. Verb forms is the action verbs and the Sanavantas are the noun forms. You can change a noun to a verb and you can change a verb to a noun. And change, so when you change a verb to a noun, that is known as Kredanta. And Sanavantas is related to the if you are to use it in a modified version, then you have the Tadvikas. If anyone of you know Predangas and Tadvikas, so that is how they are used. And so the root word, which is the root word, the Sanskrit term for that is Dhatu. The common name must have heard the word Dhatu. Is Dhatu ka hai ye shabd. So Dhatu is for the verb forms. So the verbal root of a verb is the Dhatu. And the verbal unit of the noun word is the Pratipadikam. So this Pratipadikam, Bhavan, you use the word, you attach the suffix, and the suffix changes the meaning of the word. And then you have Upasarga to further change the meaning. Okay. How it changes exactly, we'll see it in the next page. And then we have the Vakya. So in the Vakya, you have the sentences, the meaning of sentences. So how in the Sanskrit, in the English language, we have the active voice, the passive voice. In Sanskrit also, you have the active voice, passive voice, and there's an impersonal voice also there. Okay. So the impersonal voice, it refers to basically what it means is that there is no movement in the sound in the sentence. Okay. And in the active voice, the the subject is in the Prathama Vibhakti. In the passive voice, the verb is in the Prathama Vibhakti, and in the personal voice there is no verb. Okay, and so that is like the top overview of the Prayoga and the Karaka which we have. So Karaka is the seventh Vibhakti which we have. Okay, the doer, the ability form, the dative form, and like that. Now in the Subandha, it has got characteristics. There are three characteristics to it. So all the nouns and all the noun words which are there in the entire Sanskrit language, they are into one of the three numbers. That is the gender, male, female, neuter gender. Okay. For some words, they are into all the three forms. Like for the word wife. So Patni is in the Striling, Dara is in the it is the male, it is the Purling, and Kalatra is the neutral form. So all the words would be like all the qualities, generally all the qualities of even the this Avara in the string form, and the gunas are into the this Avara into the verbal, into the neutral form. Okay, so that is with the lingas. Next, we have the vachanas. In the Sanskrit, in the English language, we have a singular and the plural form. But in the Sanskrit, we have the dual vachanas. So ekavachan, dvivachan, and bahuvachan. Because there is a lot of significance of bahuvachan. The primary is the, the spiritual origin is the Lakshmi Narayana, Radha Krishna. So that is how the dual vachan is there, and that is why we have the dual vachan. And in the material world, how we have the husband, wife, the material para and para. So like that we have the usage. That is the significance of the dvivachan. And the next one is the vibhakti. It is the context. So if you have studied the Sanskrit grammar, so we have the tables, vibhakti table. Rama, Ramo, Ramaha, Ramam, Ramo, Ramaha, Ramena, Ramana, Ramahi, Ramaya, Ramadhyam. So this is the context. So the subject is the noun, the Rama. So the first vibhakti is the Rama, the subject. Second is the object form. So the object, the Rama word becomes the object. So I gave a pen to Rama. So the Ram becomes the object and I am the subject. Rama. So Ram was killed by Rama. So Rama becomes the instrumental piece. So before Ramaya. So we offer our celebrations to Rama. So on to Rama. So that is the fourth case. Rama. So that is from fifth case. That is from Rama. Ramasya. That is the Shashti Vibhakti. That is of Rama. So this pen belongs to Rama. Okay. And Saptami Vibhakti is in the Ramayana. So in the like Rama has this quality. We find this quality, Shanta Bhava we find in Rama. So that is the seventh. And Ashtam Vibhakti is the aggressive mode. I'm forgetting the exact word which is used. I think so it is something related to the Sambodhan Vachan. Because in the Sanskrit there is Sambodhan Vachan. So we have to call Hey Rama, Hey Rama, Hey Rama. So that is the Vibhakti which is there. Next we have the Tiruvantas. That is the verbs. Okay, so if you can visualize this, so any Sanskrit word which is there, it is like a three-dimensional matrix. So you must have seen the Rama table. You can also check on the internet. You will just write Rama Vibhakti table and you will see it. So that is generally the two-dimensional table. So you have the three this lingas and the seven vibhaktis. And you can also have it in the different, vachana. In the sense that not for all the words, but for the words which are there in the three lingas. So you have a three dimensions. In the verbal form also, like the noun form are represented. So any noun which you take, any word which you take, first to decide whether it is a verb form or a noun form. So it is a noun form. Okay. So it is a male, female, or so it is a male form. So it is in which vachan? Bahuvachan, ekavachan, dvivachan. Okay, it is in the dvivachan. So in which vibhakti? Pancham vibhakti, shashti vibhakti. So that is how when you translate or when you understand a word, so that is how you understand the word. In the vibhakti, if it is verb form, you have the three concepts: the lakaras, the vachana, and the purusha. Lakaras means the tenses. Okay, not properly because tense in the English language, the tense is only in the form of time. But in the Sanskrit, the tenses are also in the form of mood, which is there. Okay, so like there are 10 lakaras which are there. Lat lakar, lit lakar, rit lakar. So 6 lakaras are in the related to the time and 4 lakaras are related to the mood. So when the mood is to instruct someone, so that is the vidya. When the mood is to give a prediction, so that is known as ashirlinga. And when it is time based, then we have the lat lakar. So that is the present tense. That is with respect to the past tense. Okay, lut lakar and lut lakar are related to the future tense. Okay, so then like there's rule in how you have to use. Again, in vachan, also here also vachan is there. Okay, ekavachan, dvivachan, bahuvachan, and the purusha. So in the Sanskrit, it is the same how we have in the English language. The first person, second person, and the third person. But here, because in the Sanskrit, the first person in the English language, the first person is the person itself. So, like suppose if I am saying something, so I am the first person. If I am speaking to someone, that person becomes the second person. And if I am speaking about someone to the other person, then that person becomes the third person. But in the Sanskrit grammar, it will be the other way around. The third person, the person of whom we are talking about becomes the first person, Pratham Purush. The person to whom I am talking to becomes the middle person, and I become the Uttam Purush. Okay. And so here also we have a 3D matrix. And here also we can find like Tita, Antisi, Vidha, Nimava. Patati, Patata, Patanti, Patasi, Patati, Patava, Patani, Patava, Pathamani. So this is also on the 3 vachan, the Purusha, and you can also have in 10 dimensions with respect to the lakaras. Again, the words are changed with the upasarga. Okay, so ahara, vihara, nihara. So the word is the same. Ahara. But vihara means to rest, ahara means to consume, vihara means to, to relax. So the upasargas, there are 22 numbers, they are added to the word and they further change the meaning. The pratyaya, the suffix are of 10 forms, sanani, vikara, krit, tin, sut, stri, taditya. Okay, what they are now we are not covering because it is difficult to follow. These 14 are the 14 Vishwa Sutra. So there is an interesting story attached to this. So Panini Ashtadhyaya. This is what is now followed. We learn Sanskrit anywhere in India, the Ashtadhyaya is followed. And Patanjali's Mahabhashya, the commentary on the Ashtadhyaya is referred to. Okay. So this is how we study. Now the story is that now, and also the Panini Ashtadhyaya, it has got 8 chapters and there are 4,000 sutras. In a very nice form, it is in very, very systematic, very logical way it is arranged. So much so that there are so many PhDs, so many research has been on the Panini Ashtadhyaya, and still the research is going on. That is the profoundness of the Panini Ashtadhyaya. And the story is that Panini of his time was a dumb student. he couldn't understand Sanskrit when it was taught. So what he did was he did tapasya to Lord Shiva, and when Lord Shiva, he came and he gave the benediction, and through his benediction, these 14 sutras were revealed to him. So with this 14 sutras, they were understood, and with only with this 14 sutras, he understood the entire Sanskrit grammar. Okay, and his notes are what is known as the Panini Ashtadhyaya. So the entire world right now is baffled by the notes of a dumb, slow learned person of the Vedic time. So that is the very profoundness of the Sanskrit language. So these 14 letters, okay, I don't know the correct pronunciation. You can check it on the internet. Like Ayun, Bulaka, Ayoch, Ayon, Ayoch, Ayavarat, Lang, Yamanamana, Jabhe, Garadash, Jabagaradash, Kapa Chakatho, Chakatho, Kapai, Sharas, Al. So it is a very, in a very scientific way, it is being arranged. Okay. For example, the vowels are known as Ach. So in the first sutra, and the last element of the fourth sutra, Cha. So that Ach. So these four sutras, it is given the notes. In the notes you can find them. In the four sutras, all the vowels are covered. So here, listen. So in the first four sutra, all the vowels are covered. And the consonants are known as hell, because from the fifth sutra to the 14th, so the first and the last, they have hell. So in a very scientific way, it is arranged. The last varna, it is covered in the seventh sutra. The yama, nama, the seventh, all the last varna is covered. So it is a very systematic way it is being arranged. Okay. So now we are done with the Vyakaran. Now, because we are running short of time, we have to also discuss Jyotish and Kalpa in good detail. Next, we have is the Nirukta. So this you can go through this. In essence, what Nirukta means. So as I said, even every word in Sanskrit they have many meanings. Okay, and to understand this is the correct meaning, we use Nirukta. And the Nirukta, it is a verb which is Nirukta and was a book, and it also known as Nirukta, which was a book written by the Yaska. And the commentary on that is known as Nigamtu. So this Nigamtu, it has got 5 listed words, which are again divided into 3 sections. The first section has the 3 lists, in which there are the various words are arranged in certain ideas. Okay, if you know, okay, you can check out. There's a work by Srila Rupa Goswami, Paryoktaksha Manjari. Okay, so there are also in the Paryoktaksha Manjari, Sri Rupa Goswami, he has Paryoktaksha Manjari means the listing of the useful words. So he also arranged in different Akshata means the word. Okay, another word for Akshata is the words. So he has arranged it into different sections. Okay, Buddhi Varga, Bhava Varga. So that is like under different ideas we arrange the word. Okay. So that is there. In the next list we have is all the ambiguous words are into it. And on the last one, the DPs are classified based on the regions. Bhava, okay, the sky and the blue. So this is how the Nigamata is related, is the composition. In the difference between Vyakaran and Nirukti is that if you know the Sanskrit words, the English words, we have syntax, syntactics, semantics, and pragmatics. So syntactic means the rules concerning the formation of the words. That is the Vyakaran. How to form a correct word according to the grammatical rules. The meaning is not important, so you can just form a word. Now, semantics means the morphology, the meaning of the word. So, what is the meaning? So, that is the Nirukta and the pragmatics. So, we have a meaning, but in pragmatics is how actually practically it is used. Okay, because there are many words. They have a meaning. They have a dictionary meaning, but in the etymology meaning is different. In the Kavya, you will see this. Okay, again, you can write it down. Of course, this will be covered, but someone can write it down and you can remind me in the Kavya class. It will be told how this etymology is related. Because that is a differentiation between the Nirukta and Vyakran. For example, the word Aditya is there. Now, so you have the word Aditya. The formation, this verse is from the last verse of the page number 6. Aditya tasmad adate rasan adate bhasan ajotisham aditya bhaseti va aditya putre viva. So it means different words. It means the fluid. It means something which is luminous. It means the son of Aditi because it is a Aditya form. Okay. It is the apatya Aditya form. So it also means a son of Aditya. So the meaning is what we understand from the Nirukti. Okay, clear. So up until now, Shiksha is the pronunciation. Next we saw what was the next thing? Vyakran. Vyakran means the sense of grammar. Nirukti means the morphology of a word. Next one we have the Chandas. So Chanda means Chanda Shastra. It means the different reading meters in which it is recited. Chanda it means beautification, perfection. Okay, the meaning of the word sense of the children. So that is what but gives pleasure to the ears. That is what makes the mantras pleasurable to hear, and that is the peculiarity of the different mantras. So in different meters, it is to be chanted. Primarily, there are 7 mantras, the meters which are there, and this verse is also there. So they originated from the 7 horses of Suryadev. So the chariot of the sun god has got 7 horses, and the name of those horses is the same as the 7 meters. Gayatri, Bruhati, Ushnik, Jayat, Jagati, Trishtup, Anushtup, and Pankti. Okay, Pankti, you must have heard the word Pankti. In the Hindi language, we use the word Pankti. And Anushtup is very common, in which we have 32 syllables. So 32 syllables are there, and so we have a Sanskrit verse. Okay, Dharma Kshetri Kurukshetri Samaveta Yutsava Manata Pandavaseva Himapurvata Sanjaya. So if you see open the Veda verse, if you see the Sanskrit verse, it has got, so it is in 2 lines and it has got 4 others. Okay, each pada has 8 letters. So it was a 32. So the Anushtup has, as you can see on the next page, Anushtup has 8 syllables, Trishtup has 11 syllables, and so on and so forth. Okay, so and that is how it will be recited. For example, for the some different verses which you can have. So Janma karma cha me divyam evam veti tattva tattva deyam punar janma naiti mameti sarjuna. So this is 1 meter. The next meter is Trishtup. Sarva sacham divisannavishto natta smrte jnano apahlam cha vedesha sarve rahame vedana chaturveda vachaham. This is 1 verse. Another meter, a very interesting meter, is the Shadula Vitredita. So Shadula means a tiger. So the youth of a tiger. Because tiger, so he like it walks with one feet, like he puts his, that is how he walks. And so there is an up and down in the recitation. So like how we have this verse that Janmadi, so you can even see with my hand, you can see the up and down form. Janmadiyasya yacharandaya vitarata charteshvabhignya swara tenardaya kavar yanti yaksuraya tejatrani mridam yatha vinimaya yatra trisagramrishan धामसेन सदा निरस्तकुहकम् सत्यं परं धीमहि There are other variations also of the shadow of the creator. On the internet, you can find this. So, like that, there are thousands and thousands of meters are there. One more thing which just came into my mind, okay, with respect to Vyakarana. So now all the grammar which we study, as I said, is from the Panini Ashtadhyaya. So it is a very simplified study. Okay. So there are different systems of grammar which are there. What we have is the Panini, but there are 9 systems of grammar. Indriya, Chandram, Kashapushtam, Kaumaram, Shakatayanam, Sarasatyam, Chapishalam, Shakalam, and the Panini. So like the emblem is the one of the Indra. Chandra is in Chandra Brahma. Okay. So even in the Patanjali Mahabhashya, which is the commentary on the Ashtadhyaya, we have referred to this. So originally it was very difficult to study. Okay, now we have this able form and all. It is said that Indra took 1,000 celestial years to study the entire Sanskrit grammar from his Guru Brihaspati. Because that is all, because they would study each and every word, each and every form of the word. And they had a lot of time. So they would, study in great detail. Each and every word they would study how it was originated. Then later when Pani came, he simplified the system because we don't have 1,000 celestial years. Okay. So he simplified the system. And then Sri Jiva Goswami came because now everyone studies Sanskrit, but at that time everyone used to study Sanskrit. So when Panini, he gave the different this avaram. He gave the random words, okay, Tinanta, Sudanta. There is no meaning to Sudantas and Tinantas. So we just gave random words, Lak Laka, Rut Laka. There is no derivation. But Srila Jiva Goswami, and because now is anyone studying Sanskrit grammar, he has to constantly, he has to memorize these words. He has to, keep it in his mind. He has to constantly utter these words. But there are no, Srila Jiva Goswami, for the pleasure of all the devotees, he gave the Vaishnava name for all the things. For all the 10 lakaras, there is a, this our, we have the devotee, like the spiritual names for that. Okay, like we have Lagu and Guru. So Srila Jiva Goswami gave the word Vaman and Trivikrama. And it is also very logical. Because Lagu means short. So Vaman, short. And Guru means long. So that is Trivikrama. So only with this 3 feet, which is 3 steps, he could cover the entire, the entire universe. So in a very logical way, he gave the names. Like the Sumanitas, the nouns are known as Vishnu noun. Okay. So like that, we very for so that we can even when we are studying the Sanskrit, when the Sanskrit grammar, we are actually reciting we are doing Sankirtan. Okay. So I will just recite some sutras from the Harinama Vyakran. The first one is after the Narayana Uddhata Varna Pramaha Tatra Adu Chaturdasha Sarveshwaraha Dasavakaraha Tesham Dvaja Vikatmako Purve Vamanaha Parasri Vikramaha Avarjita Sarveshwara Ishvaraha Dasavakara Ishaha Ananta Chatursana Chaturbhoja Chaturvya iti Vishnu Chakram iti Vishnu Chapah iti Vishnu Sargah. These are 15 sutras of the Harinama Vyakran. Now, as you heard this, there are so many, it is all the names of the Lord which you are reciting. So you are understanding the Sanskrit corresponding concept, and you are also reciting the word. So you are doing Sankirtan along with studying the Sanskrit grammar. So that is the brilliance of Srila Jiva Goswami. So many different, Gopal Champu. Now, Gopal Champu. So someone can also write this Gopal Champu. So we'll cover it. What is the significance of the Gopal Champu? It is a very difficult Champu. It is form of a poet which is known as Champu. They're very difficult to follow. Because it has prose as well as the verses. So very beautifully he has covered that. Gopal Champu. So it's amazing, amazing work of Srila Jiva Goswami. and of course the Chandravas are there. So in the for the Chanda also coming back to the Chandas, there's a book Chanda Kaustuk written by Srila Baldev Bhushan, wherein he is explaining the different meters which are there and how what is the origination, what is the rule. Because as you can see, even in the document, so you have the implying words. So the upper word means that word has to be long word. The other ones, no, the first one means short word and the next one means the long word. So there is these rules have to be followed when we are forming a words. So such a difficult thing, okay, for the province in Sanskrit. So you have to follow this. You have to follow a particular meter because you cannot have only if you are having Krishna, then you can have only 11 syllables. In that too, 11 syllables, there are rules. The first two have to be long, the third one has to be short. And then you have to, in the power will study, there has to be name of that. Vyangya, Abhida, Lakshana, Abhida, Lakshana, and Vyangya. So, a lot of effort is spent into that. So next we have is Jyotish, and Jyotish essentially it is known as time science. Okay, and it is the eyes of the Veda Purusha. It has got three divisions. In the Brihad Parasar Veda Shastra, it is a very, very important primary text on the Jyotish written by Sri Parasar Muni. And therein it has got three divisions. Bhavan Paramam Punyam Bhuyam Vedangatumam Triskandam Jyotisham Horagaritam Sameti Samhiti iti Cha. So the three parts are Hora, Ganita, and Samhita. Okay. So we can now, because now things are going to be a little difficult to follow, you can carefully listen to, and if you are not clear with the thing, you can listen to the audio. The first we have is the Hora. And this is what generally we think of as astrology. Okay, what we have this seeing of a horoscope, that is the part of Hora. And the Hora also has three components: Jataka, Prashna, and Muhurta. Okay, so Jataka is the natal astrology. So when we see the chart, okay, horoscope, that is known as the Jataka. So so first we'll discuss this, how Jyotish actually functions. Okay, that is in itself a very big course, and in just few minutes I'm explaining. See, this world, it functions on the basis of karma. On the basis of karma, only we get a suitable body, and then that is how the samsara, the cycle of samsara works. We have many umpteen number of lives. Okay, countless number of lives, and we have performed many karma, and so there's a whole stock of karma which is there. So now suppose this Vinit Sharma, this person in the body, now has done countless number of karma, and based on that karma, I got a certain body, I was born in a certain family, I was born in India, in a certain family, in a certain place, with a certain physical structure, with a certain mentality. All of this is karma based. So I'm reaping the fruits of my previous karma. But it is not like the fruit of all my previous karma is given to me. It is not that everything is given in this one lifetime. Only some part of it I am, enjoying. In my sense, I am experiencing that. So, but how do you decide that? There has to be a mechanism, no? Because so you have a big water tank. Maybe do you have the same thing? No, we see this. Okay, just wait for some time. That is not the way. A good time. Even those, they are born with a time that is 20 minutes. Still, their life is, different. However, is that will come to just wait for some time. First, understand the basics. Okay, so what was I talking about? So we have a water tank, and then we have a tap. Okay, so we have a tap. The output is very small. Okay, it is not that all of the water is poured, all this, just at one moment. At top, at the end, when you open the tap, according to the capacity, we get the water. Similarly, in each and every lifetime, according to the karma which is to be experienced, we get that karma. Now, how the entire mechanism is the Kala Chakra. Okay, you can see the videos in the Mayapur POV. In the POVP video, there was one video many years back. There, there's a black background is there, 4 to 5 minutes video is there. So there they have visual as a color chakra. And of course, when the POVP will be inaugurated, there also you can see the color chakra. When the color chakra, here also we have put the image. Okay, you can later see. So on the color chakra, there are, so it's a chakra. Okay, it's a circle. So a circle with 360 degree on which different um, all the planets, they rotate on the Kala Chakra, okay, with the different speeds. All the Navagraha which are there, no, not ground two, but there are 7 planets. Okay, some of them Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, and Rahu. So they, with a different time, they revolve on the Kala Chakra. The Kala Chakra 360 degree is divided into 30 degrees. These 30 degrees are known as Rashis. Okay, so there are 12 Rashis. The names are Venus, that is Aries. The English name is Aries. We have the Vrishika Rashi, that is the Taurus. We have the Mithun Rashi, that is the Gemini. We have Karka, that is Cancer, Sun, Leo, Kanya, Virgo, Tula, that is the Libra. And then we have Vrishik, that is Scorpio, Dhanu, that is Sagittarius, Makara, that is Capricorn, Kumbha, that is Aquarius, that is the Spices. Okay. So the entire sky, the Kala Chakra is divided into 30 degrees, and the planets revolve around them. This sky again is divided into 28 fields, which are known as the nakshatras. Okay. So, and inside the nakshatras, there are taras are there when there's particular formation is there. Okay. And each of the Rashis also, they have like Sima Rashi. So if you see from a telescope, it is the formation is in the form of a lion. Okay. And because of inside the 50 particular degree of the Sima Rashi, the stars which are there, they resemble the form of a lion. And these Navagraha, they revolve around it. Okay. Then a person is born. Right at that time, a snapshot of the color of the sky is taken. And right at that time, okay, so like today is Ramanavami, so we can take the chart of Bhagavan Shri Ramakrishna, from Lord Ramachandra. So Lord Ramachandra was born, on Tuesday. Today is the Chaitra Mas, Shukla Paksh, Navamaya Tithi, and in the Abhijit Muhurta, and Abhijit Muhurta, Lord Ramachandra was born. So when Lord Ramachandra was born, on that day, during sunrise, the Rashi which was there, let me say mathematical point you can understand. The mathematical point in that time was in the Karka Rashi. Okay, so these mathematical, the Rashi, the Navagraha, the Saptagraha, and the other mathematical points are there. They revolve around on the Kala Chakra. Okay, the Kala Chakra is there. Suppose this is one planet, and they revolve around that. So they are constantly there revolving since the beginning of this Brahma's day. As soon as a person is born, so at that time, a snapshot is taken. So now this planet on the Rashi on which it is, that is taken into account. So when Ramachandra was born, so Guru and Chandra, Jupiter, and they're in the Karka Rashi in the 11th. So in the Surya, they're in the Mesha Rashi in the 10th house. The Shani was also in the Uttara Rashi, the Mangal was in the Uttara Rashi. So at that time, these planets were there in these planets. Okay. Each of the Rashis have their own characteristics. Okay, Mesha Rashi, they are, like dominant. Okay, Karka Rashi are emotional. So like there are characteristics of there. Each of the Graha, they also have their own characteristics. Okay. And each of the Nakshatra also have their characteristics. And so the Jyotish is nothing that, when we see the chart, the astrology is a chart, like how we have the X-ray. Okay. So X-ray is there. If you and me, you cannot read it. A doctor can read and you can see. So there's a fracture, there's a minor fracture, a hairline fracture, so we can detect, but we cannot see. The chart is same. All the detail is given in the chart. Okay, but we cannot assume the person knows from the same. So when a person is born, so a chart is formed, the horoscope is there, and the Jyotish, he can see that. That's why it is a valid science. So he sees We learn from each other. So the level is the first house. Okay, there are 12 houses. There are 12 Rashis and there are 12 houses. In the image, you can check each of the 12 houses. So we can go down. Okay, on page number 1, you can see. So we have 12 houses. Okay, each of house have again have their own significance. The first house is the personality. So you can check. I'm not going into the characteristics because it will, already we are running short of time. So there are four things. The houses they have their own characteristics. On each of every house, there are corresponding. There is a Rashi. They have their own characteristics. So in some Rashis, then there are planets. They have their own characteristics, and on the Rashis there are nakshatra. So the Jyotish, he interprets the interpretation is on the you can see the interaction of these different forces, and then he is making the predictions. Now, this chart that we have is the Rashi Chakra. So in this, so we have the Kala Chakra. In the Kala Chakra, each and every chakra is divided into 30 bits, and each and every Rashi also you can further divide, and that is the divisional chart. And that does okay. That changes. Okay, so we have Shodasha Chakra. So this is a divisional chart. Okay, so we have the Rashi Chakra, the Hota Chakra, Brikhana, Chatushra, Panchama, Shashviyamsha, Chaturamsha, Panchamsha, Shashviyamsha, Navamshi, you must have heard, it's a very famous. So Navamshi, we divide each and every Rashi into 9 divisions. And then the corresponding Rashi, then they are again into other chapters and form. The Shamsh is there, Rudramsh is there, Vadamshamsh is there, Shodashamsh is there, Vimshamsh is there. And all these division charts, they signify different aspects. For example, that is a Rashi Chakra, it signifies the overall life. What we see as a Rashi, what we see as normal horoscope, that is the Rashi Chakra. The Hura Chakra signifies the wealth. Drittana is the courage, and it signifies our siblings. So from there, that's how we can get more details. From Rashi Chakra also we can get the details, but the details are over here. And these chakras, they change with time. Okay. D4 is with the property, D5 is with the power, D6 is with the health and with the enemies, D9 is with the health, D9 is with the marriage and with the this our dharma also is there. D10, Dashamsha is the karmasthan, and Shodashamsha is the D16 is with the vehicles and the pleasure which we are going to get from that. D20, Vimshamsha is the spiritual aspect. D24, Chaturvimshamsha is the education, Siddhi, all the siddhis which a person has. So like that we have D16. And then other, okay, we'll come to that. Now D60 is there. The D60, it changes in every 24 seconds. And from this Varga chart, we get differentiation with respect to the how people born in at the same time, still they have a difference. Okay. So someone will ask the question. I hope this clarifies. Because the Rashi Chakra may be same. Okay. But it will be Vargas because they change in every few seconds, they go on changing. So there the difference comes. And very fine. So for the those who are twins, the Namams is to be studied. And now there are different systems also there. So this is a Parachar system, there is a Jaimini system, there is a KT system which you must have, Krishna Padhati, but it's a modern system only. We just took we did the inspiration from the Parashar and the Jaimini system only, but then he had his own rules. He modified the rules and he clearly stated the rules. Okay. And then there are Nadi astrology is also there. For Nadi astrology, okay, also this is also an important thing to know how the Nadi works. So you must have seen. Though they are born in the same second, but still in the so first of all, the twins they are not born in the same second. There's a couple of minutes of difference. So that also sometimes the lagna changes if the lagna is at the end, and if they are even if that is same, then the Varga division starts same. Even if the people, suppose the next door person is born at the very same second, still in the higher dimension charge, because the charge there till Nadi Amsha is there. So Nadi Amsha is D300. So that changes with half a second. So therein, the difference is there. Okay. See, if you see that, you find it different. Okay. It is not, if you see, you will understand. but the nuances change. And the second important thing is the dasha system also. So the chart you see, and then you know, SSI, Hoga, Motamoti, these things are going to happen in his life. But the dasha system also, because see, a planet will give result when it's doing dasha only. So the dasha system also that changes. Okay, that changes. It is inside only, but for different people. So even if you have a Raja Yoga, you must have heard the term Raja Yoga. You know that when certain planetary planets are in and there are certain combinations. There are some good combinations and there are some bad combinations. So then there is a yoga. But the yoga will only fructify at its time. But the yoga is suppose for someone who is a 90-year-old person. And when he is 90-year-old, then what Raja Yoga will be there? Or when he is a toddler. So some eventually will have the toddler in the sense of if he is a Raja Yoga, then he will have a very nice childhood. Okay. So the timing of the dasha is also to be seen. From the chart, if you see only the chart, we see what are the promises, what things are there. But what actually is going to experience, we see the dasha system also. How do see? Okay, this also the timing of that is also different in before Yugas. So there are four forms. When the person is when the person is taking when newborn is taking his birth, so when he's in a natural birth, when he's fully seen, so we consider that as a time is born. Okay, so like when he's coming out, first his head is seen. Okay, because a child it comes in the other way around. As soon as head is seen, that is considered as the birth time. Second, when he's born, and the umbilical cord is cut, that is taken as the birth time, because as soon as the umbilical cord is cut, the opinion is that at that time there is a at that time he is a separate person. Third is when he begins to cry. Okay, okay. No, the third one is when he takes a first breath. Oh, no, that is one thing. So when he begins to cry, okay, when the first breath he takes, that is one. And the fourth behavior is that when you fall, when you like fall on the ground, like when he comes out of the womb, that time is taken. So four times a day. When his head is seen, when he completely comes out from the womb, his umbilical cord is not cut. His head is very simple, cord is cut. And the fourth one is when he first begins to cry. So the four opinions are there. In such a as soon as the head was seen, it was taken. In coming the time, actual ideal time is when he takes his first breath. That is, when he takes his first, that is to be taken as a time. Now, of course, in the hospital, I don't know what time they take. Okay, and different opinions are there. So the timing it actually changes. But still, like Joseph still works. If I see my child, I don't know at what time exactly, like X minutes or so there, which point was taken, but it still works because it is only the minutes with the change. The thing is remain same, and even rectify the Joseph person can also rectify that. And that is it. That is the thing. Okay, so that is also if you see many times we have. We will take that question later. So Jyotish also, so different you must have heard that the different Jyotish people they have different routine. Because it depends on the maturity also. So chart is like you see a person's chart, you can get each and every detail. His exact death, the time he's going to die, the exact time he's going to get married, everything you can understand. How many children, the gender of every detail, everything you can go, what is past, everything, because you can see the entire karma of that person. It depends on the depth of the Jyotish, okay? It depends how much mature he is. Like nowadays, of course, we can't, like it is up to certain level, but previously in previous ages, they could just see, personal child, they can actually tell you about each and every birth which you have taken. So everything you can see. So that question I'm interested to know about my evolution of the soul. That can be seen from evolution of the soul. There is no evolution of the soul. There's a transmigration of the soul. Okay, the soul never evolves. There's only transmigration between the different bodies. That can be seen, but we cannot see. I think so. At present time, at the most you can but the 2 to 3, but that too some very learned person can tell you about 2 to 3 your previous life, maybe 1 or 2 of your future life. That is there. And spiritual growth also, so yes, now there is uh, actually we don't have much time, but these are very important things because this is also part of the course to understand that. See, one thing is very important to know. No Jyotish person can change your karma. What you have to experience, you will experience. No astrologer, if he says that you can get rid of it, what is speaking is wrong. Only thing is, you can reduce the effect somewhat, plus and minus. Okay. Of course, there are two types of karma which I will come. You can reduce the effect that is there with the remedies. The remedies are also 3 types: Sattvagun, Rajaguna, Tamogun. The best remedy is the mantra. Because as I said, sound is the basis of creation. What potency the sound has, there is no, there's no to be wearing a ring and all of that. That is all Rajasic thing. But that is also important. You know, the best thing is to recommend a mantra. Why the Rajasic is there? Because suppose someone comes to a Jyotish person, okay, he is under a lot of stress. His mind is very bewildered. If you give him a mantra, he won't be able to chant with the proper mindset. Basically, he wants a quick solution. So at that time, we give him a tatkalic solution. So at that time, we give the ring and you do this ritual that is there. So that is there. But the best solution is the ring, the mantra. With this also, you can only reduce the effect, and or you can enhance the positive effects. Now, still, I mean, of course, you must have heard, or you must have, for someone who sometimes it is said that, if when this time, you have this, it will be radius for you, you don't drive. If you drive, it will be, you will meet with a very, very fatal accident, okay, with a fatal accident. And if you don't drive, then, you pass. So then you may ask them how, if I was to experience the karma, how could I get around this? That is not there. The karma is also different types. There are fixed karmas that you have experience. Okay. Some are kali dosh. What happens is, it is not, if you are at the wrong place at the wrong time, then you will also get caught. Okay. Suppose um, some uh, you can take vulgar happen at some place. Okay. And the thief where they were meeting or where they were having, you happen to be somewhere around that. Okay. So, and then the investigation is going on. Then naturally, the police will also call you to the police station. They will interrogate you. Okay. It's not your fault, but they will ask the details from you. Okay, so how did they look? How many people were there? What was there? So, you have to be interrogative. Or if you are at the wrong place, suppose, let's say some bomb blast has happened at some place. So you know, you will also face the consequences of that. That may not be your fault. From a karmic perspective, everything has there's a karmic thing, but the point is, you voluntarily you are not responsible, but the car, you are at the wrong place. So what happens is, sometimes the car is very wrong. It's a very, very dangerous time. And college also is there. So if you do the wrong activity at that time, you will face the consequences. And also there are some auspicious times also there. So if you do the right thing at that time, so you will get the multiple effect. Okay. So that's why we have the movement of thing which we have. And in karma kanda is heavily followed. Okay. We don't have to if you are dependent on Krishna, then it is independent of all these things. But then it depends on your faith, if you are that faithful. Okay. And but for karma kanda, it is heavily used. Everything they follow on that. Bhakti is independent of Jyotish. There is no indication of bhakti from spirituality. However, you can see the external things. Okay, spirituality, the external things it can be seen. Okay, for example, as I was once discussing with Maharaj, Bhakti Padmasar Pracharya Maharaj, the chart of his relative Bhakti of Buddha Vishnu Goswami Maharaj. Now, Buddha Vishnu Maharaj, from his chart, you know, So the Vishnu Maharaj, if he suppose if someone takes a shot, you cannot see his spirituality, his spiritual realizations from the chart. However, you can see the extremes. Okay, so you can see a time that there is going to be some fame is there. So what it means is that Maharaj at that time took a Pandal program of where there were thousands and thousands of devotees were there. Or he met with some very important dignitary. He met with the prime minister or like that. Or some part time was there, so it means that at that time some managerial meeting was going on, or some very crucial managerial problem was there. So you can see the external things. And for normal people like us, we can make out how our spirituality will also because when things are good, our bhakti is good. When things are bad, usually our bhakti goes into a topsy-turvy. So some indications can be given, but bhakti is totally independent. There are so many instances where the thing has changed. Now, karma, as I said, cannot be changed by Jyotish. Krishna can change it. So the degree one is surrendered to that degree, Krishna takes charge of that. He takes the charge of karma. Sometimes he burns the karma. Sometimes he makes the devotee suffer the karma. Okay, so that's why we see devotee suffering. But so you may say, I mean, he is suffering so much, but his karma are getting burned. Sometimes when he is green upon, his karmas are burned. Srila Prabhupada, in one of the purport in third or the fourth canto, you can see this. Prabhupada says that in the green, Krishna burns the karma of some devotees. So Krishna has different ways. So to the degree we are surrendered to that degree, Krishna takes charge of a chart. Okay, so it becomes actually difficult for so many devotees. That was there, but that didn't happen because then it becomes independent of the Jyotish. However, a mature Jyotish, of course, not now, hardly even that, he can actually, in a sense, he can get an indication of that something else is functioning. He can understand that this person will not have the karmic thing. Paramatma has taken over. He again basis it. But very subtle, some Jyotish that is there. So the question, can you please some more details from the group? Well, it is not something, it is to be accumulated from different sources. When different types of karma involved, that different types of karma is there. There is that those point, there is Kala dosha is there. So Kala dosha, when time is not right, time is very good. So according to that, some astrologers may tell you to do something. Otherwise, it is in your only. Which karma is what that the Jyotish person can tell. Okay. You cannot see, you cannot go and read on your own. But the basic things are of fixed. For a non person, the time is there, the time is there, and these things are fixed. Okay. They cannot change. That is fixed. Okay. So that is, I hope that answers the question regarding to the different types of karma. Different type of karma, it's not like karma A, karma B, that is not there.
Thank you, Prabhu.
The nuances are there, but you deal with it. Because karma, see, understand, karma is a very difficult thing to study. Krishna in the 4.18 verse, okay, let me take out the verse. He says that even different, the intricacies of karma are hard to understand. Karma bhavyam cha vikarmana akaramam cha bhavyam gahana karana gatihi. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should understand what is properly action is. So what is karma is very difficult to understand. How karmic thing actually works. It's very, very difficult. We are just giving some indications into it. So now we'll move on. Okay. In some other relevant course, we'll cover it. And maybe on the last day, if possible, we will cover it. Okay. So I hope you understood how the main thing is how Jyotish works. There are not some pseudoscience. Definitely is a sign that is a part of Vedic scriptures. And these scriptures are the Shabda form, Shabda Brahma form of the Lord. Okay. It is very, very wrong to disrespect the Shastras. As I said, in the manual, if you take Shastra as a manual, so each and every different scenarios are given. Some scenario may not be applicable to you. The emergency scenario may not be applicable to you. When we take a flight, so there is that briefing is done. In case of a fire, when we have to do this and do that, we will laugh, what this thing is there, that swimming suit and that. But see, it may not be applicable to you, but in case of a crisis, that thing will be very much applicable. So, in the Vedas, in the Shastra, for different types of personality, for different types of beings, different things are suggested. You should not mock them. In the 11th canto also, I will find out the verse. Of course, in the concept section, it will come. Madhacharya, he quotes the Brahmana Puran, and it is, and even in the PPT, in the comment, purport also it is given. He says that we should not mock them. Sadhus which are there, though we know the Paratattva, we are aware of the Paratattva, we should not mock them. Because this is all the system of Lord Himself. When it is said that we should see the Lord in everything, and we should see everything in relation to Krishna, these things are also included. This entire Vedic scriptures, Kama Sutra, Kama Shastra, Dharma Shastra, Arthik Vyavasa, Jyoti, Vedangas, Nat Shastra, everything the Lord has given. That will not be applicable for us Vaishnavas. But we should not misuse, we should not laugh upon them. Of course, there is a discussion to it. So it's not that we take everything as same. There's a discussion to it. But we should not disrespect them. Okay? Jyotish is also there. Because people in general, when they have problem doing anything, in earlier times they used to take a solution. Okay? So you can, maybe someone can remind me on the solution part, okay? Vedic solution, and the last day we will cover this. So the last day step for this, like 7th day, we will have this Vedic solutions. This is the next one. We'll discuss this in more detail. So, okay, so coming back to Jyotish, Pura, we have 3 parts. Jatak, Jatak, Prashna, Muhurta. Jatak is the horoscope which we see. Prashna is many times we don't have the horoscope. So Prashna means at that time what happens is, you ask a question. And so when the time you ask a question, that time is taken as the, as a Jatak, and a chart is crafted at that time. And also Prashna is done for other things as well. For Pisi alignment, Ashtamangal, and there are other forms are also there, which you can see. One of the ways to see the at the time. In the there are 5 parts are there. Panchang, which is 9. Tithi, Nakshatra, Yoga, Karana. So Var means, Somvar, Mangala, Budhavar. Tithi means the first is the Shukla Paksh, or the Krishna Paksh of the Shukla Paksh, and then the Prathama Tithi, Dvitiya, Chaturthi, Panchami, Ganga. Okay, so Var, Tithi, Nakshatra. Which Nakshatra is there? Yoga. There are 27 yogas are there. There are some calculations are there. That is from the sun, position of the sun, moon, and then we find that. There are 7 Karana. On each and every Tithi, there are 2 Karanas are there. So what that is, it is beyond the scope of this course. So we see the tenets between these 5. So these 5 factors are there. Based on what we have to do, we take the up in them, and then we decide which is the right thing. Okay, so that is what the Muhurta. That is the back end part. Okay, so this is the astronomy part. So now we just enter the details into the app and get the details. But previously that was not the case. The Panchang was to be formed, and there are mathematical treaties which are there in which we find the details. Okay, so it has the motion of the different planets, the retrograde motion, the forward, the type of the motion, the speed of the planets, where there are like at which place they are exactly, at what moment. So 300 years back also we can predict. 300 years, 3,000 after 300 years also we can actually know where will sun be on this day. Okay, everything is there because they are constantly moving, so we can predict it. Like actually, it is not in this way. Like speed equals to distance upon time. So this simple formula is there, which is used. Of course, it is not that simple. Many things are there. There's an angular velocity and all that, because planets have different speeds at different times. We can also predict the eclipse and all of that. So all this mathematical part, all of that data is in the section. There are 5 important Siddhant which was written. Surya Siddhant of the Surya Veda himself, Paulisha Siddhant of the Paulisha Rishi, Romuva Siddhant which is written by Rogamuni, Vasishtha Siddhant by Vasishtha Muni, and Pitama Siddhant which is written by Brahma himself. And then Varamira, which you must have heard, he was a famous astrologer. I think so, circa 5th century, around that time. But he took the theoretical differences Siddhant based on these 5 Siddhants. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he translated this Surya Siddhant from Sanskrit to Bengali with the Surya Shiromani commentary. which is the commentary on Surya Siddhanta Bhaskara, again a mathematician from the, I think so from the 12th century. And he is the author of the Leelavati. If I'm not mistaken, someone can check that. Bhaskara 2. So Surya Siddhan, Surya Shivamani, and Leelavati, those are his works. Okay. And Dhananjay Maharaj has not translated that into English. Just one incident came into my mind as we were talking, someone was talking about karma. So Bhaskara, his daughter was Leelavati. So now he was a great mathematician. So when Leelavati was born, so he could see from her child that marriage was going on. But he said that there is no time. At that time, if things are set, then marriage is possible. So, at that time we didn't have clocks, but he used all the devices which were there. And he was like he had made everything perfect. He was a Jyotish at par, a first class Jyotish at that time. So you can just imagine how precise his calculation must be. So he did everything right, okay. And he said that the thing was just at that time, if the thing was going done, the Leelavati, she will get married. But what happened was, of course, what is destined to happen will not happen, whoever you are. So the time the device which he had kept, his daughter came and she, tweaked it a little bit. And so that moment, exact moment, it passed. So that is why it was just. So then we later realized that, what is happening, to happen will happen. But now very less people left, only the wedding left, very less Dalit is left. I don't know. No, that's not like that. Of course, much of truth is left. But I was saying, with this other discrepancies are there, it depends on the depth of the concerned person. Okay. Because even with given Jyotish, much is lost, of course, no doubt. But the given Jyotish also we can find a lot. With respect to Nadi astrology, the issue is that so regularly it will not run up. So before we create those, I will draft their chart and I will, predict what is going to happen. Because it's a very simple. So, so today is 6th April, Sunday. Let's say Monday, tomorrow, 7 April, Monday, 12:45. So I can take a chart. I know where is the planetary system and I can predict. So in that way, regularly he made 4 crore charts, all different permutations he made, and he kept them, and that is passed to the parampara. And now through the fingerprint, it just passed through generations. And now if you go to the Nadu astrologer, through your fingerprint, he can actually predict them. So it is not some magic thing, but this is the logic. So he had pre-written it. Anyone can do it. If you are an astrologer, I mean, it's not that you are undermining Brigumini because it is not easy because Brigumini did it 4 years back. But I'm giving you the essence, like what is the logic behind that. Okay, fine. So next we have is so that is the Ganita part. Samhita is the say Vora is with respect to individuals. Samhita is with respect to on a world level. So what is going to happen? Anyway, as how will 2025 be for India? Or how is it doing for the world? Will it rain? How is the rainy season going to be today? So all that very thing is from Samhita. Then previously, since was a systematic that in the Vedic times, before sowing the seeds, the farmers they would consult the Jyotish in their village. With, so because the Jyotish would see that this year so much of Darsha is expected. And that is why accordingly they would plan to sow the seeds. It's less rain is there, then accordingly the seeds were sown, more rain is also like that. So that is why it was done so systematically it was done. So Samhita is that part. Okay. Some famous books, there are many books are there. Brihad Samhita, Brihad Parasha, Roda Shastra, Brihad Jataka, Phalapitika. So this is the Kalachakra which is there. You can see this. We have already covered. And this is the 12 Rashi. So this is the North Indian flavor writing. So the self-personality which is there. So that is the first house. That this immediate family and accumulated wealth. That is the second house. The value communication is the third house. The home mother is the fourth house. Like that we have the 12 houses. Okay. Hare Krishna. So, all this, so then this is out there. In North India, we have a different representation where Rashis affects and how it moves. And in East India, Odisha, there is a different system. So I hope you are done with the Jyotish. Next is the Kalpa. Kalpa Vedanga. Kalpa means the proper time. So Kalpa, it means there are four divisions for it. So you can just read it, now there's not much time. With reading this, you can actually understand. I will jump into the four types which are there. Because in the Kalpa, it tells you rituals. Okay, this is not that karma kind of ritual means what to do. Anything which you do continuously becomes a ritual. Okay, what to do, why to do, how to do, and also the logic behind that. That is there in the Kalpa Sutras. And because the logic is that in the olden times, everything was centered around Bhagavan. Everything had a purpose. So, in the Kalpa Sutras, it was done in such a way that it became God-centric. Okay, in the sense that, like, of course, there are different levels to it. The Vaishnava community, there were those who were already devotees, they fully directly connected to Vishnu, Krishna. And in the normal Varnashram system, to attach to the Shaiva Paddhati or Shakta Paddhati, whatever it was there, that the aim was to gradual evolution of the person. So there are four types of Kalpa Sutras which are there. First is the Shraudha Sutras. So the different types of yagnas which are there, Agnishtama, Jyotishtama. So how to do that, whatever rituals, and all details, everything is given into that. Every single thing is there. New sutras or the smarta sutras. Now the smarta, it's not that smarta like that. Smartas. See, smart means that related to smriti. Okay, smriti is a type of scriptures. Shruti and smriti, which will be covered at the end of the course. So it is a particular Kavita. Okay. For example, we have Dhritarashtra and we have Dhritarashtra. And we have Kaunteya. So something related to Kunti is known as Kaunteya. Okay. Or we have Draupadi. So that is related to Drupad. Okay. So usually it is ignored in the form of family lineage, but in another context also it can be. So if something is related to that, so the word which is there, now which is where it changes according to some grammatical rules, which is known as Satpavita. So smarta refers to smriti. So that the rule which is there, it changes into the verb, all is there, and then becomes the ara. Ara comes in, that becomes the smarta. So in the smarta, Udhana Sutras, the four Varna and four ashram which are there, so the rules are given. For each and every Varna and for each and every ashram, what rules are to be what is to be done, how it should be done, and each and every rule specific to the ashram or to the Varna it is given. Okay, in the Grihastha ashram, 16 Shodasha samskaras are there. 16 samskaras which are there, which we will just see at the end. Okay, looking how much time we have actually. Okay, so what I was speaking. Shodasha samskaras which are there. So in Kali, Shodasha samskaras are there, but in the Mahabharata, 40 samskaras are there. Right from the big, not only beginning, right from the conceiving of the child to the Antyashti. The 40 samskaras are there. And now there are 16 samskaras which are there. So that is just between. So if one performs this, all the samskaras, then a pious soul is born. It is not that out of lust, what nowadays happen, the Sandam Sutra Utpatti is done. But it is, as Srila Prabhupada also, don't want to go into details, but as Srila Prabhupada says, 50 rounds have to be chanted on the day of conceiving. And so many rules Srila Prabhupada also did. So it has to be a very pure mind. As a that thing is to be done as a young, as a ahuti, and that is how it is to be done. And if we follow that way, then that is how we will get pious souls will be born. Because of that, so many pious souls, we want to take birth in this Kali because, Hare Naam Eva Kevalam. So much potential is there in this arena, in this Kali. But, there's a procedure which is there. And that is how we, in ISKCON now, we are, it has been tried to have Daiva Varanashram. So many samskaras which are done. Because if we do that samskaras, then we have pious souls. And then we will be able to train them. They will be born, will have, naturally, not only Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, the Vaishya and Shudras like that. And it was a generational program. It is not that if you do samskaras, your children will be Yes. It is after the full-fledged effect we'll see it after, after 4 or 5 generations. So that is there. The samskaras are there. So there is the Brihma Sutra. Dharma Sutras, Dharma Shastras again would be. Sorry, actually, I just said the wrong thing. The Brihma Sutra, only the rituals related to the Buddha's ashram are given. Okay. In the Dharma Sutras, we find with the 4 Varna and 4 ashram. Okay. In here also we find some details, but mainly in the Dharma Shastra. Actually, sorry, the 4 Varna ashram is there given in the Dharma Shastra. The Dharma Sutra will clean up for the Grahasthas. Some details for other ashrams are also given. Okay. Because Grahastha ashram, because they really deal with the world. Okay. Brahmachari is studying like in the traditional Sapat, he studies in the Gurukul. Vanaprastha is renounce the world, and sannyas is, he's actually beyond the world. Yati. So many rules are given. Dharma Shastra, again we have code of conduct for all the 4 Varna and ashram. And essence of that you can find in the Manu Samhita, and so many books are there. 18 books are there. Okay. Manu Samhita is one of them. Yagnavalpa Samhita is there. There's Parashara Samhita is there. There is I'm not remembering the name, but there are 18. Let me see if I have them. And there are 18 Samhitas are there. Okay, many rules are given. And, it may seem contradictory, but there's a way of happening there. Some rules are applicable at some time, some rules are applicable at some different time. Okay, so at different time, different rules are applicable. I'm just seeing if I can find the dharmas. Fine. So that is there. An essence of that can be found in the 7th canto, 11th chapter to 15th chapter, in the conversation between Yudhishthira Maharaj and Narada Muni. We can have the essence can be found. That discussion is there for the 4 Varana and 4 ashram. So you can see that. And the 4th one is the Shulva Sutras. So Shulva Sutra, it is the Indian mathematics. The profound again of the Vedic scriptures said that the previous mathematics is, random maths, abstract maths. But in the olden times, in the Vedic times, the mathematics also had a divine origin, right back into the Yagna itself. The Yagna itself, how to form that Yagna Sthapana, which is there. So perfect measurement had to be there. And for that, the geometry rules were there. But the Yagna thing were also at different sizes. So all the mathematical part, everything is given, There is so much of resources there. I'm not going into this because that is beyond the scope. Because you see, you can take a calculator and you can see. There are total 11 portions which you have. Okay, Vedas, Vedangas, Vedas, the Quran, Ithiyas, Kavya, Agama Pancharatra, Tantra, Darshana, and Vidya. So how many? 11 are there. Okay. So we are today discussing 1/11th of it. Okay. Of course, not inside the part I said, but consider they are same. Okay. So 1/11. Okay. So 1/11. Into today we have 6 parts. So again, this is 6 of that. We are into Kalpa Sutras, which again has 4 parts. So that is 1/4. So 1/4 of the 1/6 of the 1/11. That is the 1 to 64th part of it. So you can understand, how much can we cover. Okay. And with respect to Jyotish also, how small Jyotish is. Okay. Jyotish has, as I said, 3 parts. But Torah also has again 3 parts. So 1/3 of the 1/3, 1/9. 1/9 is the Jatak, which you has, horoscope, which we discuss. And it is 1/9 also we see. So again, we have 11 parts. We have the 6 parts. We have the third 3 parts. We again have the 3 parts. So 594th part is Jatak of the Vedic scripture. So enormous is there. So many things, so much is there. Okay. So we have to restrict ourselves. You can read it. And there are some resources also which you can see. Now, actually, we have the books. The famous books are also mentioned. The Shaucha Sutras, we have the Apasama Shaucha Sutras, the Bodhyana Shaucha Sutras. These are famous in the extant works, which much is lost. Apasama is a very important word. So, Apasama Shaucha, Shuddha, Grahastha, then all 4 are there. Okay. So that Apasana, we are full. Vajrayana, see, these are very famous things which you have. So now with this we are done with the class. Now, as I had said, uh, as I had um, promised, we'll now see the webinar procedure of the webinar. Just to have. So I'm just directly reading from the book. The book is there's a book. So first thing which we have is the Shuddhikara. Okay. And first, there's a preparation for the priest. So you can just hear, you can listen to this, just to do justice to the course we are doing this. First is this Thanu Shuddhi. The place where it is done. Isn't it? Am I properly audible? First of all, how do we approve all the sections? You see, I mean, this is the this is the coursework of the entire book. We are asking something. You'll see it at the end. Okay. Right now we are just studying. So am I audible properly? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, sir.
Just some breaks in the middle, but more or less it's audible.
Sorry, say again.
There were just some breaks in the middle, but more or less it's fine.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So we'll see that later. How we should, as Vaishnav, we should see. You may say, "Arey, we were to study that how Srila Prabhupada has given everything in our books," but that will come at the end. Okay, this is our second course. Exactly, we will have that. Actually, today only I have to cover that. In this 1 minute, I will cover that. So this is the preparation for the priest. Stana Shuddhi, Brahma Shuddhi, all the material which is used that has should purified. Atma Shuddhi, he has to purify himself. Chitta Shuddhi, purification of his mind. And Mantra Shuddhi, of the mantra. Then is also the Achaman. Achaman is also, there's a 12 Achaman, the 12 Achaman which are there. And on other things which are there. The four things which are mentioned. So the Advaita priest is considered the instrument of the Hindu with respect to the establishment of the Yogic soul. There are two priests with respect to chanting the hymns. And Hotri priest he decorates the altar and he invites the deities. And Guru priest is with respect to calling the he houses the and Yagna stuff. So first we have the Achman, we do the Achman. Then we have the Asana Sthapana. So Asana, see in the DP worship also, I don't know how much you are familiar with that. In the DP worship, the Pancharathri DP worship, which we do in our temple also, we have the Asana Sthapana. We do that. There's a mantra also. We do that. We touch it with our there's a particular this our what do we say? This mudra is there, and which we chant others. Okay, so that is also there also. Actually, that was also be covered how DP worship is done. That is okay. That will be covered in the Pancharathri. Okay, fine, no problem. So we can just write it in the Pancharathri. We will cover the Pancharathri which is followed in this part. Okay, just brief overview. Okay, so that Achman is done, Asana Sthapana is done, then there is Mangala Charan is done. We have the Mangala Shanti, so that everything is peaceful. Five mantras are there. Om Mata Vipra Pavitra Vasara Sayu. And what is that? There's Shatru Indra, Sasura Indra, Vishava. So there are five mantras are there. So many auspiciousness is invoked to show the ceremony proper. Okay. Then the next one which we have is Sankalp. Sankalp means to, it is like you are with respect to space and with respect to time, we are specifying that we are taking the Sankalp to do this particular activity at this time, at this space in the entire Brahmanda. It is very interesting. You must have heard this also. So I'm just finding the full Sankalpa. Just know this, wherever I am uttering, it depends on the corresponding time of that time. So just know this. This is the full Sankalpa. Om Vishnu Om Tat Sat Adya Brahmana Jyatikakarate Shvetavarahakalpe Vaivasvathaka अष्टविंशति कलियुगस्य प्रथम संध्यायां ब्रह्मविंशतो वर्तमानाय संवत्सरे अयने मृत मासी पक्षे ओम राशि स्थिते भास्करे ओम पृथो ओम वर्णिताय नक्षत्र संयुतायां चंद्रयुक्ते भरतखंडे तस्य समेत दक्षिणे लवनार्णवस्य उत्तरकोणे गंगा पश्चिमे भागे अच्युत गोत्रे दासः श्री कृष्ण प्रीत्यार्थं संस्कारं. This is the full sankalpa. So the specification is that in the Dvitiya Parag of the Lord Brahma, in the Sota Parag, in the Vedasvata, the seventh Manvanta, in the 28th cycle, in the Kali Yuga, in the Brahma charan of the Kali Yuga, that is with respect to the time and also the thing. So in the Gaurabdha Samvatsare, so the year, so we follow the Chaitanya era, we can follow the Samvatsara era. So Chaitanya, I would use the Gaurabdha. Gaurabdha means the number of years from the birth of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay. The Gregorian Abdo is the, with what is there prevalent in the Western world, with the advent of the Jesus Christ, 2025. So with the time and in the INA, so the Uttarayan and Dakshinayan, in which okay, 6 seasons are there. Okay, that is there. In which mass, like we have Chaitra mass, in which Paksha, Shukla Paksha and Krishna Paksha, in which Tithi, today's Navan, and which Varana we found. So today's Ravida. So this is with respect to the time. So it becomes very clear. So it does recorded on this time, exactly on this time this was performed. And also in Nakshatra. So which Nakshatra is there? So Nakshatra meaning that today in which Nakshatra moon is there. So every day moon is in a different Nakshatra. 27 Nakshatra there, in each and every Nakshatra moon, roughly for one Tithi. That's how we have Tithi. After every Tithi, the same where there's a difference of one degree. Okay. And we have one space which is the space Jambu. There are certain planning systems are there. So Jambu, I mean, Bhumandala is there, but that is not in the Shruta. Bhumandala is there. Bhumandala Jambu, there are 7 planets, the islands are there. So Bhumandala, there are again 9 Varshas, Ilavata Vrasham, all that. So we have the Bharata Khanda, Bharata Vrasham, again the Bharata Khanda has 9 divisions. So Bharata Vrasham, Sundara Dakshina, this is on the north side of the Sundara mountain. Okay. And the Lavanya also on the south ocean to the north of that, Ganga Pashchima, so on the Pashchima side of the this changes depends exactly on where are we doing. So we are doing is it in Uttarakhand, then that is in the Uttar Bhaga of the Ganga. So now from there it changes. Sri Krishna Prityartham, Sri Sri Krishna Das Samskara. Whatever samskara is there. So we name our samskaras are Sharish samskaras which are there. Just a second. So I have to refer the itself. The Vivaha samskara. The first one is the Vedangas samskara, conception, samskara, right for birth to a male child, Samantana samskara, cutting of the wife's hair, from the middle, and showing the then we have showing this samskara, Jata karma, 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 Poshika Karma Samskar, Namakarma, Mundana, Anapasana, Karma Veda, Chudakaram, Vidyakarama, with the name of the Vidya, Upanana Samskar, is the Vivaha Samskar, and the Antuashti Samskar, which is the end Samskar. Vivaha Samskar is very important, and many times it is said as the first Samskar. Okay. But in the chronological order, the Garbhadan is the first Samskar. Okay, fine. So this samskara are there. So for the pleasure of Krishna, this samskar in Gotra, we have to mention the Gotra. Before the initiation, the 7 Gotras which are there. After the initiation, we take the Krishna Gotra. Second initiation. So that will be simple. When we have the Gita Satna, even instruction, the Gita Satna is there. When we have the how is there. and Shatric group of Shraddha is there. Here in the all different Acharyas, Mahabhagat, Sundana, because so here now there are differences there. In the Shakta, we invoke Shakti forms of Shakti. Here we invoke Mahabhagat, the Sakhis of the Lord. You can see, if you next time if you attend a message home, carefully this is a chronology in which they follow. Sometimes some things are merged because due to lack of time or something expanded, but this is a chronology. So Mahabharat, Ashtasatthas, the Mahabharat Panchana, the Bel Mahabharat, the Chatursanas, the everyone, all the famous associates of the Lord, Panchatattva, everyone, everything, the entire Guru Parampara, everything. They all are in Guru Ghanta. So they are Ghanta Satna is done, then Adivas is done. So Ghanta Satna is usually done prior to the ceremony which is done. Adivas is there are some ceremonies, there are some different which are there inside of it. Okay, some auspicious items which are there. I think so there are 28 prepares are there. I might be wrong. Then there are Pancharika Stapna. So there are Pancharika there, lines are there, which are there. If you see, then you can see it in the so Pancharika Stapna is there. Then we have the explaining the imperatives. If you must have seen the imperatives there, Agni and north southeast direction, that is, the Agni is placed. The purifying Agni Samskar is done, Sasi Vachan is done, Vachan is done, Vishnu Sati is done, and Trunadi, Suchodana, Sasi Nevana, Vimshati Kastika Home. Vimshati Kastika, 20 pieces of wood are offered. Agni Padmashaktam. And so till then, this is the same procedure. After that, most of the samskar which is done, the details are done. Homa is there. Mahaprati Homa, Purusha Homa, Mangalachara Homa. Mangalachara Homa, again, the entire Guru Parampara, they are good, Vaishnu Homa, and then all the details of all the associates they are called. And then we have the Pradiksha Karma. Okay, so this is in brief. Okay, the plan was to cover this in more detail, but I think so. That would. We are anyways way beyond the time. One thing important is also we invoke Agni. Okay, Agni we invoke different types of Agni is invoked for different samskaras. For example, the Vidha samskar gives us the Agni is invoked. The Dhruti Home, that is internal Vidha Pravesh, Dhruti Agni is invoked. So different forms of Agni are invoked. Okay, so the Agni Satna when it is done, that particular form of Agni is invoked. Okay. So with this which is there, just in brief how Vedangas there in this form. Srila Prabhupada system, the Bhagavatam class, all 6 are there. Okay, Siksha, in the Bhagavatam format, we have okay, Janma, Adi, and then the speaker speaks and the audience is so that is Siksha. Vyakaran is the proper pronunciation and the meaning, which is the Nirukta. Okay, so we say so Brahma doesn't mean to refers to Lord Brahma. Brahma means knowledge. And Adi Kavi refers to the Adi Kavi, that is the Kavi means a poet, but Kavi also means a learned person. So the first learned person is Brahma. So now the meaning that is known as Nirakta. Okay, that is where Jyotish is with respect to the time. What is to be done at what time. Okay. We do this, so that is more related to the deity worship. And Kalpa is the rituals. Our morning program, the 64 minutes which are there, smelling the flowers which are offered, applying that oil and so all these things, these are all the two things and all the different other things which we have. So the Kalpa means ritual. So we also have other rituals. That is the Kalpa. Jyotish is the timing with respect to the deity worship, the time which is there. And the first 4 are with respect to the Bhagavatam class. So Srila Prabhupada, if you sometimes in some way think, what is the requirement for, to recite that and Chanda also with respect to recitation, after the speaker recites the verse, 2-3 people from the audience also they have to recite. So that is with respect to Chanda. Okay, and the meter is given by the speaker, and then in the same meter, the audience has to get. So that is Chanda. Siksha, Vyakaran, Chanda, Nirukta, that is in the Bhagavatam class, and Kalpa is with the morning prayer and entire program which we have. So that is it. So that is how Srila Prabhupada He has given it. And so, of course, okay, in the concern class, we'll see this. So this is first one thing how Shiva Prabhupada has given us everything. Okay, if you follow this, then we are done with the Vedangas. Of course, in the sense, those who are inclined, they can have a good detailed study. Like, I mean, because you are inclined, you take this course. In future, also those who are inclined, they will come and listen to the course. So that is the detailed part. But everyone in general also, we have the essence of all the Vedic scriptures in our normal routine. Srila Prabhupada has given us the everything. Okay, so with this, we will conclude. Are there any questions related to the topic which we have covered today? So we can take the questions. Otherwise, we'll wind up with the class. Any questions? Okay. No questions then? Fine. Yam Brahma Varunendra Brahmacha Stummanti Divyasara Vedai Sangha Pada Pramartam Shive Gayanti Yam Samada Dhanavasita Tadgati Manasa Pashyanti Yam Vedino Yasyantam Navidu Sura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namah Om Purnada Purnamidam Purna Purnamadachyate Purnasa Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.